Electric mountain bikes are a super exciting but also very controversial topic at the moment. I'm here in Granada, Spain, with John Riley, the global mountain bike product manager of Trek Bicycles, to discuss the probably hottest topic in mountain biking right now. Hey John, at last year's Interbike, Gary Fisher, well-known legend of mountain biking, said that electric mountain bikes would be the next big thing. Do you agree to that?
Well, I think Gary was being very broad on what he was saying. I think electric bikes as a whole are going to be a very big continuing trend, and now with mountain bikes, it's another segment that's opening up. I'm not sure it's necessarily the biggest trend because there's so much going on in our industry right now with wheel size and travel and a lot of different things, but it's definitely a piece of the business that's growing very rapidly, and it's growing to a point where it's generating a lot of enthusiasm from certain groups and also attention from a lot of different companies.
Especially here in Europe, e-mountain bikes are super popular.
Yeah.
How do you see the US in terms of, let's say, development of e-mountain bikes?
Initially, the focus on the bike was only for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, because that's where it was really growing. But now we're seeing big business in France and big business in the Benelux and big business starting in Spain and Italy. So it's starting to spread throughout Europe. So instead of it just being in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, it's grown. So that's how it is today. So the next question is the US as another big market, and some other markets as well, like outside that, whether it's South America or Australia or other areas. For the US market, there's a lot of talk right now about it. But the biggest issue is access. It's not that it's a totally different situation than Europe, but it is different in that it is a lot of federal and state land that organizations like IMBA have been working very long and very hard at trying to make access something that was easy for the federal government and the state government to accept. The problem with e-bikes right now is the state and federal governments don't quite understand it. And because they don't understand it, we've had rulings lately, just in the last few months, where they've ruled it as a motorcycle. And so we need to educate the kind of land governing bodies into what really e-mtb is, because it's not a throttle, it's pedal assist. And that's not something that's easy to explain to somebody. So we think it's going to take time, but like right now we have no plans to bring the electric mountain bike into the US for 2016, which is the next model year. We have no plans to bring it in because at this point it would be bringing it in before there was access, and that wouldn't be good because then people would just use the bikes where they shouldn't be, and that'll start problems. We need to figure out the legislation first, the rules first, and then bring the bikes in. And that's where we are right now, is we're working with IMBA, we're working with the governing bodies just so they understand what an e-mtb is, that it's not a throttle. And that's where we are right now, is in that process.
I mean, e-mountain bikes generate a lot of, let's say, fear or even hate, and separates mountain bikers, which I always thought that mountain bikes would be super tolerant, but I mean, if you read the comments,
it's very true. I mean, when you read a forum with a post about an e-bike, it's a hate or love. There's no in between, and it's more hate than love. Even in some of the areas in Europe are still, and it gets to what a lot of riders are considering the purest aspect of the sport. And I don't disagree, there's an element of you need to kind of earn, your mountain bike status. You need to be able to have a certain amount of fitness and a certain amount of skill, and you have to build that over time. I mean, that's just how the sport evolved. But what we're finding is that there's a lot of groups that could actually benefit from e-mtb besides the enthusiast. And that is the couples where one person isn't as strong as the other that could ride together, people that are getting older or have some physical issue and they cannot enjoy mountain biking like they used to, can now enjoy it more. And so there's a lot of different ways it can be used, and I think unfortunately like the enthusiast looks at it as cheating, you know.
At the same time, I am wondering what is more, I mean, is it worse to go up with an e-mountain bike to basically go downhill again, or is it worse to basically take a shuttle or a lift?
Right. I mean, there's always that discussion too, right? Yeah. You'll talk on the forums and you'll see as much hate for shuttling as you will for other things. So we're a funny industry of a lot of different people. Like when I go to Canada, shuttling is considered awesome. You know, it's a great way to be able to cover a lot of terrain, all downhill, you know, a lot of fun. And I like that part of it. I like going to Whistler and riding the lift and being able to get a ton of laps in and get, you know, at a place like Whistler, you take so many laps, your skill level doubles almost every day because you get so much time on the mountain. So all of them, I think, are pieces and parts of it. The problem with our industry is you have a lot of people that are very into one part of what they do, and because of today's forums and ways you can communicate on the internet, they can be very vocal about what they don't like and they do like, and that's all part of the nature of what we do. And so I kind of look at it because in my seat, we do many things, and we do them for a lot of different reasons, but I surely wouldn't want e-mtb to not be looked at for what it could do for mountain biking, to bring more people into the sport. That, for me, my main goal with anything we do is I want to make it a better experience for riders when they're on the bike, and I want more people riding mountain bikes, because the more people we have riding mountain bikes, the easier it is to get laws changed, to get better access, to get all the things we need to keep mountain biking as a growing sport.
Cool. Today we did a 4-hour loop on the e-Mountainbikes. At the beginning when we left here, I would say there was some skepticism between the journalists. Afterwards, I think many of them were smiling. How would you describe the first feeling and the change of the attitude towards electric mountain bikes once you got the chance to ride one?
Right, I think that's huge. Actually, I mean, I have to admit, being that I've been doing this a long time, been in the bike industry for a long time, that initially the e-mtb concept to me wasn't something I understood right away. And every single person that I've gotten on the bike, whether they're a racer like Renee, Bob Hopper, who was here, or you know, entry level, middle, everybody smiles when they ride it, because it surprises you on how fun it is, because you still have to pedal. Like the ride we did today, I'm not as tired as I normally would have been doing a 3 or 4 hour ride, but I still had to pedal. I still had to have the skills to get through the rocks and in the single track. So it wasn't like an event where I went out and just went for a tour. I still had a mountain bike ride, you know? And I think that's the experience today that I saw, was actually, it handled like a mountain bike. It was a mountain bike, but it had some benefits in climbing that were obvious, that you didn't use as much energy. And again, that can be looked on as, you know, a couple different things. Like I envision some friends of mine I know that would love to go riding with our group that just don't have the fitness and ability, and maybe for a while they could ride with us on an e-mtb bike until they build their fitness, and then they could, you know, be more accepted, or they would feel more accepted with the group. So I think the experience today is what I've seen 100% of the time with e-mtb. If you ride an e-mtb bike, you're going to smile. I guarantee it, because you're gonna get on and go, wow, I didn't think it worked like this. It's not a throttle. It's an assist. It handles like a bike that you would expect from any type of bike in a mountain bike. And I think that's the biggest thing, that it puts a big smile on people's faces once they try it. So I'm hoping a lot of people will take advantage of a rental or a buddy or something to try it, because I think you'll just appreciate why people are excited about it, because it's just fun. You know, it adds another fun element to mountain biking.
What is the specific target group of the new Powerfly Plus FS?
Yep, that's a good question because there's really a lot of talk about different types of eMTB, and we introduced first a hardtail, and then we introduced now the full suspension bike, and also now WSD as well. So we introduced some smaller fit versions of the hardtail. But all of those bikes, all three of those bikes, we've designed more for the recreational rider. In other words, the Powerfly FS has a lot of the characteristics of our EX in the regular mountain bike line, but the version that we did for eMTB is a little shorter top tube, a little more upright in the front. We think that's better for the type of riders that are getting into eMTB style of riding today. Although there is now a growing group of riders that are more enthusiasts, we haven't really yet addressed that with the products we're offering. We're offering more for that recreational to sport level customer that's looking for something that's easy to ride, but at the same time has suspension and has everything they need for a good experience off-road.
Good. So I guess there will be something in...
You never know. You never know. We're looking at a lot of different things, and we see that segment growing, and so we're testing. We're out here the week before this meeting testing products that are more enthusiast products that are for somebody that's a real mountain biker looking for an eMTB, not someone that's either entry level or someone looking to ride with their partner or to ride with a group that normally can't keep up or whatever. The next generation of bikes is really going to be the more of the pure MTB, full suspension, really just a version of one of our inline bikes with a motor.
Do you think electric mountain bikes, let's say, compete with normal mountain bikes?
Well, they do ultimately, because in theory, the customer who ends up on an eMTB was looking at a mountain bike. So in theory, they might have been looking to buy an entry-level hardtail or entry-level full suspension, and then they saw that there was this eMTB. On the contrary to that, there's also probably somebody who might not have ever considered riding a mountain bike, seeing this bike on an advertisement or with a friend or at a rental, and now going, wow, I think that's for me. So I think it's a little crossover because of it's kind of in somebody's mindset about mountain biking. But I do think there's some customers that might not have ever bought a mountain bike coming into mountain biking because of it. And that's the good thing. And I think that's about a 50-50. I think 50% are people that kind of thought mountain biking was for them, but thought maybe it was just they weren't fit enough or good enough. And then there's the group of people that never considered mountain biking, but all of a sudden saw one at a ski area during the summer and they rented it and were like, wow, this could be for me.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, thanks. Cool.